And now, without further ado, I'm going to now introduce our General Secretary, Patrick, to address conference.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. And well, good morning, colleagues. A really warm welcome to you all. It is really great to be, for me, to be addressing our Women Teachers Conference again this year. You know, for me, there's nothing that's more important than speaking directly with our members and with our activists, hearing from you about how we can build and strengthen our union in every single part of the country, in every town and city, in every single workplace. Last year, with the backing of our national executive, we launched our Step Up Sisters campaign, building on the ambitions that we set out in our Gender Equality Action Plan to ensure that the voices of women members of our union remain front and centre of our campaigning, bargaining and organising. We heard from women members about the importance of member activism and why being active members of the NASUWT really does matter. We took our message out to the wider membership, and we also secured the endorsement of the Women's TUC conference, representing 6 million workers across the country. We talked the talk, but we also walked the walk, supporting more women members like you taking the next step into activism and leadership of our union, running networking events at our annual conference, information sessions, advice and training, and safe spaces at all events for members to talk about their experiences at work and in the union. We changed our rule book to remove gender bias and facilitating new opportunities for role sharing at the highest level as part of our commitment to positive action. And we adopted the first ever bylaw to tackle sexual harassment, and we introduced mandatory training for our national executive. Why? Because sexual harassment and misogyny have no place in the NASUWT, full stop. And today, members of our Sexual Harassment Task Force and our Women Members Advisory Committee, led by the chair of our Equal Opportunities Committee, Claire Ward, and our national president, Rosemary Carabine, are continuing to drive forward our agenda and campaigning on gender equality. And I thank all colleagues who are involved in that work for all that you do to make that happen. Across our union, our local associations and federations have embraced our agenda, helping us boost the number of women holding elected office in local associations, federations, and nationally, putting the issue of equality for women at the top of our agenda, creating new networks for women members and also for our Black members. And I want to thank those of you who've stepped up into activism in the last year, in your local associations, in your regions and nations, and in your workplaces. You know, we've seen more of our members, women members, Black members, young, disabled, LGBTI members joining us and joining in. This is what makes us the union that we are, the union that we want to be, and our diversity is our strength, colleagues. It makes us stronger. We are by teachers, for teachers. And that's why we're making it a priority to press ahead with the resolution adopted at annual conference earlier this year to organise for the future. Our new organising task force is about to start a national conversation with members and activists across the country, helping us to work together to win our fight for a better deal for our members. And I hope that you will contribute to the work of that task force. And whilst I welcome all of that progress, I'm going to say this, colleagues, we still have work to do. Work to do to confront the issues of institutional and systemic sexism at work, which holds women back, damages life chances, and prevents you from getting on in your career. We still have work to do to break the cycle of employment discrimination and to break down the barriers to progression, to eliminate the gender pay gap and the gender pensions gap. and to tackle excessive workload and working hours, which we know disproportionately impact women teachers, and which is why our Better Deal for Teachers campaign is so important. We still have work to do to confront the failure of school and college employers and governments to secure decent workplace conditions, including affording genuine access to flexible working opportunities that will retain more women in the job. We have work to do to confront the misguided view that we can expect teachers to work as long as it takes to get the job done. To demand the change that we want to see, a national contract with a maximum limit on teachers' working time. We have work to do, colleagues, to confront the everyday sexism, misogyny, racism, disableism, homophobia, transphobia that make the workplace a hostile environment for many women teachers. And of course, the multiple discriminations experienced by Black women, disabled women, lesbian, bi and trans women, and older women in the workplace, as well as in our movement. That's our agenda, colleagues, and those are our campaign priorities. And from our call last year to Step Up Sisters, today in this month, Black History Month, we also salute our sisters as you fight for a better deal for all teachers and for all pupils. As we mark Black History Month, we especially pay tribute to our Black women members for your leadership and activism, for making history, with our national officers, Rashida Din and Michelle Codrington-Rogers, who are demonstrating every day the power of inclusive leadership at the very top of our union. And you know, whether you're stepping up as workplace reps, national executive members, local secretaries, health and safety reps, equality reps, or indeed in our staff, you are the beating heart of the NASUWT. And I thank you. I thank you for stepping up and for speaking out. I thank you for calling out the failure of governments and employers to invest properly in our schools, colleges, and in our teachers, for demanding better for our children and young people, for saying enough is enough in the midst of the worst teacher recruitment and retention crisis in half a century, for demanding better investment for pupils, not the prospect of more pupils being taught in porter cabins and marquees as our schools crumble. Thank you for demanding better for the hundreds of thousands of children missing from education following the pandemic, for speaking out about the growing numbers of children living in poverty and on the right to period dignity, for demanding an end to seeing children coming to school hungry without a decent breakfast, for championing pupils with special educational needs or poor mental health when they can't get access to the specialist support that they need, for being the advocates for children whose lives have been damaged by prejudice, bigotry, abuse, exploitation, and adultification. These are the searing injustices against which you have been speaking up, and that is what we stand for. The right for every child to grow up in safety and with dignity, the right of every child to a world-class education, the right of every child to dream of a future where no child is left behind because of their gender or where they live, their family circumstances, or by poverty. And colleagues, your participation in the work of the NASUWT is more important now than it's ever been. Because at some point in the next 12 months or thereabouts, there will be a general election. And whether it's the latest U-turn from the Prime Minister over 16 to 19 education and training, or other pre-election promises, education is set to be high on the agenda of all the main political parties. And we're speaking with all of those parties right across the country to make the case for you, for the teaching profession. Our Teachers Manifesto is putting teachers front and centre of the political debate, because we know that the quality of an education system cannot exceed the quality of its teachers and the conditions in which teachers teach. We're putting forward an ambitious agenda to tackle the major problems affecting schools, the record numbers of teachers leaving the profession last year alone, 2/3 of teachers who are seriously considering quitting the job, the crisis in initial teacher training, where the government is missing pretty much every target right across the board, the crisis in teacher morale, where 9 in 10 teachers say the job is damaging their mental health and well-being. We're calling on all parties to say that you can't secure world-class education on the backs of teachers who are exhausted and undervalued. We're saying that no government can expect to recruit and retain teachers if the profession can't compete against other graduate occupations because of low pay. That you can't secure a world-class workforce without a plan to do that, without ensuring that working conditions and rights at work are designed to build an inclusive and diverse workforce. You can't build a world-class profession unless you ensure there's dignity and respect at work for all women, irrespective of age, disability, sexual orientation, or race. So with our Teachers Manifesto, colleagues, we are demanding change. But we won't just sit back and wait for a general election to happen. We can't do that, colleagues. We have to take action now. Our national industrial actions in England, in Northern Ireland, the Isle of Man, Jersey and Guernsey are winning for members, delivering a better deal for our members on pay, workload and well-being. And today, with more than 10,000 live trade disputes, I congratulate every one of our members who's taking a stand and demanding a better deal in their workplaces. No other union is taking more action on behalf of its members, and will never stop doing just that. You know, they say that no one forgets a good teacher, but we know how governments across the UK have forgotten to pay teachers well and to treat them well. We've had enough of governments that have presided over systems designed to depress the pay of women teachers and denied supply teachers, disproportionately women, the rights to pay and pensions equality. Today, average salaries for secondary teachers are 12% below non-teaching professionals. For primary teachers, even worse, 29% below. And we know that it's women who lose out most as a consequence of a yawning gender pay gap. We also know how verbal and physical abuse and assaults against teachers are ruining the lives of teachers. 9 in 10 have experienced some form of abuse at work. 4 in 10 have experienced physical abuse or violence from pupils in the last 12 months, including sexist abuse, upskirting, downblousing. But only the NASUWT is taking action in schools and colleges to address the problem, including our action on refusal to teach. Colleagues, safety at work, your safety at work is a right, not a privilege, and we'll never hesitate in taking action up to and including industrial action to ensure that our members are safe at work. And on workload, we know that teachers in the UK still work the longest hours in Europe. And that's why we're taking action on workload to limit working hours. And colleagues, we're winning. We're winning those battles, which means that each and every one of you can have a decent work-life balance. But to continue winning those battles, we know that we have to maintain a strong presence in every workplace, and we need you to do that. Colleagues, you're doing it. There are members just like you right around the country who are stepping up, taking the lead, and they are winning. Women members like Geraldine O'Neill and Anne Rycroft in the Isle of Man, where our members have won a 35-hour working week for teachers. In Jersey, members like our local secretary, Marina Morga, and ex-president Angela Butler have led our members to secure a 7.9% pay award, putting more money into teachers' pockets at a time when the Jersey government said it wasn't possible. In independent schools, women members like Sade Afolabi and Ruth Duncan have been leading our members in stopping the threat of fire and rehire and defending our members' pension rights. In Northern Ireland, despite the lack of a government there, national executive members like Delma Boggs are leading our members into a second year of action where our members are taking back control of their working time. In Swansea, in Wales, our national executive member, Helen Johns, and our local secretary, Andrea Jones, led our members into taking decisive strike action, which overturned an outrageous attack by the council on our members' job security. Our members in Swansea fought back and they won. In schools and colleges across the length and breadth of the country, courageous women members and reps like you are winning workplace ballots, and they're taking action against adverse management practices, breaches of health and safety, and to challenge poor behaviour management. Action led by our women members, action that's winning for all of our members. Putting teachers first, securing a better deal for teachers, delivering a world-class education for all pupils. That's what it means to be NASWT. So thank you for your support and for your continued leadership and activism. And if you're still wondering whether you should take a step into activism, colleagues, just do it. And as ever, we'll be there to support you. So colleagues, stay safe, stay active, and thanks for listening.